Hi, everybody. Sorry about the light. So, if you don't know who I am, I'm Bob. You may know me as a different name, Mr. Pickett, for example. Well, what I want to talk about today is how to examine your news sources. Just want to get this just a little better. In case you don't know, I live in an RV. I'm semi-retired. All right, so let's talk about news sources. Now, when we presented with a bunch of different news sources, let's say, for example, what we see every night, 6 p.m., 11 p.m., whenever. Is it right? Is it real? Is it true? Is it accurate? Is there something they're trying to push that we maybe not disagree with? All entirely possible. So I'm going to go with a few steps for you to do. Now, this is something that you need to practice every single time you receive a news story or somebody passes you something on social media. This is important. This is the difference between a well-informed populace and somebody who is just drinking the Kool-Aid. So the first thing you're going to do is basic verification steps. When you have an article, you're going to check the publication date. A classic example is I was at Walmart one day, I was going to get some ammo, and this guy said, Massachusetts just instituted gun control. They're going door to door confiscating the material, confiscating guns. So that's funny. I never heard about that. And so that day in history, in 1775, the British were confiscating weapons from the colonists. He was partially right. Yes, they did do it. The government went door to door and confiscated weapons 250 years ago. So the date is very important. Look for the author's name and credentials. You see a person. Now there's three kinds of people. People you never heard of, people that you know very well and you trust their reporting. For example, I like Simon Ateba. He's from Africa. He he's not in good graces with the Biden administration, so that tells me he's a good reporter. And the third kind is you know their names and you don't like them. Jake Tapper, for example, not a big fan of him. He basically is just an ankle biter. Now take a look at the website from which it's coming from. Let me give you a couple bad sources. Anything by Source Fall, Faal, okay, not a reliable source. You're going to disagree with me, but Mike Adams, he tends to take a story and extrapolate out about a few standard deviations. Not a good source. Sort of, but not the best. Pretty much anybody that has a theological or ideological axe to grind. Always avoid those people. Who's a good source of that? CNN. All right. Just because MSNBC says it does not necessarily make it true. Look for citations and source attributions. There is a meme going around, and it has this Supreme Court decision. Let's say it is Smith versus Jones or U.S. versus Jones. I'll have a quote, no man should pay for a right. Okay, so you take that quote, you copy it, you put it in your favorite search engine, mine is DuckDuckGo, and see what pops up. Now, let's take a commonly well-known one. All right. So all men are created equal. Put that in quotes, put that in your search bar. Does it come up with the same source over and over again? Yes or no? If it doesn't, what you're being fed is a lie. Then what you do, I use X. You click on like a little comment. It says there is nothing to support this. This is false news, false information. Test it yourself. So you have to look for all this. Now, I was working with an AI, Claude AI to be exact. I wanted some source information. And it's like, I need a source for this. Came up one. So I took that. I mean, I'm looking for a paper, okay? A peer reviewed paper. So I copied it. It's like nothing came up. I asked Claude, hey, Claude, I can't find anything on this. It says, oh, I'm sorry. So when you get things from AI, Google, Bard, is it called Bard still? Or Gemini, or ChatGPT, etc. Check those sources. Check those citations because they could be wrong. And it's your reputation online. So let's take a look at the source assessment. Is it a known reputable news source? Well, just because AI and fact checkers say that this is a reputable news source, is it? Are they trying to push a narrative? In particular, 51 intelligence sources said that the Biden or the Hunter Biden laptop was fake news. Okay. So just because a news organization says it does not necessarily make it true. See if other reliable outlets are reporting the same story. Again, they could all be misled intentionally and they're just repeating the lies, or they're legit. I suggest you use X as your news source because it is rapid fire and you can search for this news. You can also go to Grok, which is the AI that, hey, Grok, I saw this in a feed. Is this actually happening? What sources do you have? And he'll list through. Down at the very bottom, he'll have the tweets. So you can use that as an excellent source for news. Look for transparency about ownership and funding. So we all know that bald head guy, what's his name? Yeah, he owns Amazon and the New York Times and something else. Yeah, he kind of owns those. So Ted Turner owns CNN, or I don't know, still does. So, and we know that these are both left-leaning organizations, left-leaning individuals who probably do not want to paint conservatives in a good light. Likewise, if you find somebody that is a heavy conservative, may not point liberals or the left um, talking points in a good light. Maybe because he has an agenda to push. Maybe they're wrong. Who knows? Always be wary of sites that consistently push sensational headlines. What do I mean? Uh, Trump to export uh, weapons to England. Okay, which is a move I actually support, by the way. I think we all should be running guns to England, but that's just my opinion. Oh, and Australia and New Zealand. But that's a sensational headline. Does it sound well balanced? Well, take a look at it. Look through some of the sources. One second. What up? I'm trying to get my dog up here. He's kind of different. All right, so where are we at? All right, so now what you want to do is take a look at the content. So you need to understand the difference between a news reporting source and an opinion piece source. So an opinion piece would be, I believe, I felt, or it is believed. There are many who believe, it is surmised, it is something along this line. They're not hard factual information. That's a big, big key. When you have a news piece, it will be time, date. It will be the five W's: who, what, where, when, why, and how. So just be aware of that. Watch for emotional language, obvious bias. Look for loaded adjectives. Angrily, allegedly. So, for example, Trump allegedly is going to be a good president. Why use that? Why? Look for multiple perspectives on the issue. Ground News is an excellent source for this. If you want to know about the monkeys getting released, I'm sorry, escaped. Sorry, my bad. See how that works? Then you can go to Ground News and they'll see how it's covered. Is it covered fairly across all spectrums, left, right, center, or is it going to be just one way? So just be careful. Check if the claims are backed by evidence or expert sources. Now, be careful here because we had Anthony Fauci saying, "Oh, the science stands by it. I am science." No. When somebody says the science is settled, it's never settled. That's the thing about science. I have read more than enough papers to know that it's never settled. Let me give you a fantastic example. In the 90s, some of you are that old, the studies about coffee. Good for you, bad for you, good for you, bad for you. It was practically 8 studies in 3 or 4 years. So is it good for you or bad for you? Don't know. Whatever you do, be willing to drink your own poison, accept the results for it. Something else to look out for, especially in social media, are all capitalized headlines or excessive punctuation. exclamation mark, exclamation mark. That's a dead indicator that it's probably a loaded story. Now, a loaded story is different than an opinion piece. They're trying to drag you into their line of thinking. Trump's going to put all fill in the blank in FEMA camps. Well, and it's all on headlines. Probably not the truth. Poor grammar or spelling, dead indicator. Spot on. Now, the caps, excessive punctuation, poor grammar or spelling. If you ever heard of Operation High Jump, now what that was is back in the 1950s, military forces went down to Antarctica, and Admiral Byrd, who was like a man's man, allegedly had a diary that had excessive capitalization, excessive punctuation, poor grammar and spelling. Dead giveaway. This is a bogus diary. Another thing you can do is look for missing or suspicious author information by news staff. They don't put their name on it. So it's probably bogus. Pressure to share quickly without fact checking. We were unable to verify, invalidate, substantiate. Well, maybe you shouldn't have posted it. So look for those kind of informations. Now, what you want to do is use, don't laugh, fact checking websites. Okay, Snopes, factcheck.org, etc. But this also gives you an opportunity. It's like, okay, so what are they saying? Now, what is this one saying? Why are they different? How is these two different from this one over here? Well, one, I trust this one over here. And it's okay not to have an opinion. Repeat that. It's okay not to have an opinion. You get you get this news and this news and this news. I don't know if it's true. I have no opinion. I'm going to reserve judgment, which is the mature adult thing to do. Reverse image searches to verify photos. Okay, something called 10i, TINEYE.org. All right, copy that link, paste it there, and it'll show if it's ever been there. So if this was from 2012, this image that said today this has happened, and there's an image from 2012, someone's lying to you. If there's no source whatsoever, like it's never been shared, it's non any news source, could be bogus. Find an AI image checker. Look really close at the image. I just saw one today. It's a guy in uniform holding an American flag. It's really patriotic, except the stars were not stars. They had like 6 points, and they were not like even six. They were it's clearly AI generated. Look at the wording on the stripes and the name tag. It's not in English. It's not in any language. It's AI generated. It's okay not to have an opinion. It's perfectly fine. Read the About Us pages. It may say, we are a satire site. Okay, they're a satire site. Share the heck out of that stuff because it's funny to trigger people. Also, check a site's social media presence. What this will do is they'll see people going, oh, yeah, I can believe Trump's evil. Yeah, because he's orange and orange is a color. It has like 7 letters in it. That's always bad. All right. So let's talk about what the U.S. intelligence sources use. And it's called source evaluation. It's A through F. And there's even an E. So, and source A is completely reliable. If you know somebody who's actually in the military that has never lied to you, has given you no reason to suspect that they're lying to you, that could be an A-rated source. The news sources, Stars and Stripes, for example, for me, they're an A-rated source. They come right from the government. This is, the spokesperson is putting this information out. It's all, you could say verifiable. A B is usually reliable. C, fairly reliable. I would put modern mainstream media into C. I would put all of the OSINT, OSINT, open source intelligent channels, people on Twitter, X, as my Bs because they're usually reliable. They're getting firsthand information from people on the ground. I guess it's secondhand, but anyways, they're getting information, and that's pretty reliable. D, not usually reliable. So Mike Adams, the health ranger, not usually reliable. He does extrapolate, like I said, like the two standard deviations out. Unreliable, personally, CNN, MSNBC. And F, cannot judge reliability. You just can't you just can't judge it because maybe it's a news source. All right. And then you have the information credibility, 1 through 6, confirmed by other sources. Open source intelligence channels on X are an excellent example of this. We got this and this and this. Hang on a second, I have to yawn. The X news sources are really good. Probable, the information credibilities are probable or possible, 1, 2, and 3. 4, doubtful. 5, improbable. 6, cannot judge. An F6 is better than, in my opinion, an E5 because it's an E5 is unreliable, improbable, and it's better to not be able to judge reliability and cannot judge the information credibility because it's like too new of a source. I would move that just underneath my completely reliable confirmed by other sources. So an E6, or excuse me, an E5, excuse me, an F6 should be right next to an A1 because it could still be a good source. You're just filtering it. So some other things you can do is cross-referencing multiple sources, social media, technical verification of digital content. So you're doing a DuckDuckGo analysis of metadata. Take a look at that image, crack that sucker open, take a look at the metadata, which you can do for free. Okay. Pattern analysis across time. You're looking to see, so like CNN, that mainstream media has gotten to be more and more unreliable. They have an agenda that they want to get through you so that you come back to them, so that you can, so they can justify their high advertising rates. Contextual analysis. Is this in context with what's going on? So, for example, there's a UFO hanging over Chicago right now. All right. Is it match the context? So, for example, it's like now we believe this has to do with global warming. It doesn't match the context. When you have a subject matter expert consultation, let me give you the best example of a subject matter expert, a boy mom. Okay. She can tell you everything that little boy is going to be doing because this is her third boy. All right. Are you going to like want to listen to somebody who's never had children or a boy mom? Who is the subject matter expert? Listen to them. Okay. Now, military uses an acronym called SALUTE, which stands for size, activity, location, unit, time, and equipment. Look for those kind of reports on social media. So I just saw 100 Antifa folks smashing windows downtown Portland. The National Guard is there. This happened 15 minutes ago. They've got big military hardware. Antifa's got Molotov cocktails, umbrellas, spray paint, etc. That's a salute report. See how easy that was? If you find yourself in a situation, remember that. If you're going live, okay, this is what I've got. Size, activity, location, unit, time, and equipment. Tell people that. There's also something called MICE, because they want you to come back. Look for patterns of payment or financial stress. When you hear newsrooms letting go people, that's financial stress. Brokers or paid informants. So click on, and they could also like put something on your computer to get your financial information. TikTok is a big one for that. And political, social